as you move through your day-to-day experience and you come across something unwanted and you give your attention to it, in the precise moment that you focused upon this unwanted thing, from the experience that you've had even before you came forth into this body, and from the experience that you feel, from the experience that you've gathered from this time-space reality, there is a comparative thing that takes place that helps you identify, consciously or unconsciously, a desire. And that vibration emanates from you. Now, as that desire begins to formulate, if you then begin speaking about the new desire, the newly sometimes discovered by you desire, and you begin to describe it and imagine it and identify it and explain it and pretend it, role play it, even though it has not manifested, it is so interesting and you are so captivated by it as the deliberate creator of your experience that this new desire now gets more of your attention than whatever the negative situation was that gave birth to it to begin with. And when that happens, when you begin to think about it and pretend it and find the feeling place of it, then you and your new desire become a vibrational match, and then you are in the place of allowing that new desire to flow into your experience. But if you stand in the place of needing to justify why you want this new thing, by continuing to point out all of the reason that you need it, by emphasizing all that was wrong before the new desire was born, then what happens is, and most of you do this, you stay vibrationally attached to the absence of the very thing you want. Then, not understanding that it's a vibrational universe, still thinking that it's an action-based universe, you go to work. You offer all kinds of words and activity to try to bring about this thing that you want that you do not have. And from this stance of, I'm going to make this thing that I do not have happen, you hold yourself more in vibrational harmony with the absence of it than with the presence of it. And so it's a long, hard struggle where it just sort of oozes in a little bit at a time, not anything close to the way it is supposed to be for you. You seem willing to put forth eternal effort to try to make something happen when you are not in the right vibrational mode. So when you are not in the vibrational mode, it does not matter how much effort you put toward it. Have you found yourself in that position every now and again where you say, it seems like I can't win? No matter how hard I try, I get further from what I think I am wanting. And the reason for that is because you have mistaken the power of your action. You think that action will make it happen, and action has never made it happen. It is always, every time been that somehow, knowingly or not, you managed to achieve vibrational harmony with that which you were asking for, which means you locked on to your signal by hook or by crook. Sometimes you do it knowing you're doing it. Sometimes you do it not knowing you're doing it. The thing that we think is humorous, we think that you would find it humorous once you get a chance to really look at what's going on, is that in the majority of cases, our physical friends finally lock onto their signal when they stop trying so hard to make it happen. In fact, we've noticed that most of you do more locking on, which is another locking onto the satellite dish is the analogy that we're offering there, or allowing or receiving that which you are asking for, when you're not even thinking about what you want. In other words, sometimes the distraction from what you want so much is what is necessary in order to put yourself in the receiving mode. Because you've practiced thinking about what you want for so long from the place of not having it that every time you think about it, you go right to that vibrational stance. Do you know that you do not have to, once you've given birth to a desire, you don't have to think about it in order to rein it in. The only thing that is important is that you don't think about it from the position of not having it. You cannot offer the opposite vibration of that which you desire. But if you are not thinking about it at all, you are not offering the opposite vibration. You always feel good when you are in vibrational harmony with that which you desire. Good. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you.
I've been wanting to have more free time. I have been accustomed to working a lot, maybe 60, 70 hours a week. And so recently events have contrived to arrange that for me, so I have more free time. But I'd like the money to stay the same as it was before. And so far that hasn't quite worked out. I'm still very comfortable and still, everything, all is well. But I do like having that much money coming into my life, and I'm wondering how to soften myself to the place where I can free up my idea that money and time are inextricably linked.
Let us give you a beginning place in that, because there were a few things that we could feel from you as you were unfolding that we want to shine back to you in a way that you can really hear it. And that is, when someone talks about free time, there is the implication of bondage time. And from our perspective, we would say you are all free to turn your attention to whatever you choose. And when you are turning your attention toward work that someone else has lined up, or when you are turning your attention to work that you are choosing, or when you are calling the work play, or when you are just calling it something to focus upon, or when you are calling it something to focus upon that's someone's life through me, then it all begins to be freer feeling. Very often in your physical environment, people identify the free time with, and you said it very clearly to us here today, the unpaid time. So that means the free time is unpaid and therefore not all that good. And then there's that bondage time that is paid, which would be good except that it's bondage time. So you get all this feeling of freedom and not freedom all tied in with this feeling of money and time, and it's no wonder it becomes such a scramble to you. So much so that when you are having your free time, you're feeling lazy because you're not productive monetarily. And when you are having your productive monetary time, you're not happy because it's bondage time. And we say, and then it turns out that no time really is really good time because, and so what you sort of want to do is drop all those labels and all those barriers and just begin saying, here I am, a focused being, and I can focus here, I can focus here, I can focus here, and the only thing that I'm going to use as a qualifier of what this moment in time is, not time where I'm selling myself to an employer, or not time where I'm carving a little bit of it out for myself, but this is focused time where the focus is pleasing to me or the focus is not pleasing to me. Because what we notice, we have to tell you, as we watch you, and we watch all of you, is that some of the most exhilarating time that you and others feel is when you are in your bondage time, working on a project that someone else has lined up, but because of the intensity and the degree to which you are focused, some of your most life-giving, clear-focused thoughts come in that time. And you say, oh, gee, so I not only get the money from this time, but I also get the life force, and we say, we would take the money out of the equation and just start thinking in terms of life force. We would begin to recognize that there's all kinds of free time. In other words, it's all free time. And that what you're looking for, whether you're at work, whether you're working on your own website, whether you're working for someone who's employing you, whether it's temporary work, whether it's more long-term work, that in any point in time, you have the ability to focus in a life-giving way or focus in a sort of life-sucking out of you way. And you are free to choose whichever it is in every moment, no matter what you're doing. That was really good. Did you write really good?
That was really
because
good.
That's what is required in order to begin to recognize that you are the free being that you are. And that also is what is recognized in order to feel an expansion of time. Because as long as you're quantifying time and as long as you're labeling it their time, my time, their time, my time, then you're always struggling against it. When it's your time, it feels like there's not quite enough of it. And when it's their time, it feels like you're giving too much of yourself to someone else and not keeping enough of yourself for yourself. What we've noticed, and we've shouted this from time to time as if you could all hear it better because we are louder. It usually doesn't work that way, but sometimes we notice that the very work that you would like to free yourself from is summoning a life force through you that you may not find as clearly and purely in any other place. In other words, it is in fact the answer to what you've been asking for. So we would begin using different terminology to try to soften those barriers, because even those who are self-employed feel a slave to their work from time to time. And what you're wanting to do is just begin saying things like, I always get to choose. I choose what I do. I choose the intensity with which I do it. I choose the power of focus. In other words, there are a lot of people who go to work every day who don't focus much at all, that take pride in thinking they're getting away with something. In other words, I'm here and they're paying me, but I'm not working. And we say, it is such a waste of life because they're not allowing what they're focused upon to draw life through them in a meaningful way. It's become a my time, your time battle instead of an opportunity to summon life through you. In time, you'll come to realize, and we know you know this usually. You don't know it so much in the framework of this question, but you know it on a broader general sense that you are a creator, which means you are a focuser, which means anything that causes you to focus is your friend. And sometimes you'll see people who are retired who almost feel lifeless because they thought that they wanted to get out there and live their own life. They just didn't have any momentum about their own life revved up. And when the other momentum let go of them, they sort of feel like puppets where somebody's let go of the string, you see. And so the happy medium in all of this is to begin to say things like, I can focus happily no matter where I am, and I am focusing happily no matter where I am, so that both time and dollars become a non-issue, and focus and clarity and alignment becomes the only issue, and then you're joyful in your life no matter what you're doing. Esther laughs at Jerry. Every Saturday they receive a box from the office that is full of letters and accounting information and pretty much what has gone on, and he just cannot wait to dive into it. And Esther is eager about it too, but in the middle of a seminar, she's sort of relaxed and doing her best to have no thought. And Jerry's just digging through the box, wanting to read letters and find different things about it. And she teases him about how there's never a moment that he doesn't want to think about business. He's up in the middle of the night. He's making notes to himself. And it's not because it is work that needs to be done. It is because it is life-giving in nature. And focusing there is a soothing, satisfying thing to him. And that is what we wish for all of you. We wish for all of you something that is so compelling, something that is so pleasing to you when you're focused upon it, that it's like fresh air or delicious pure water, that as you take it in, you can feel that it is reviving in nature. And that is the way your work is meant to be. And in fact, that is the way all of your work would be if it were not for resistance that you conjure. And so, next time you drink a delicious glass of pure water, and you feel the pureness of it and the freshness of it and the life-giving properties of it, and as you're enjoying it, really focus upon how you are loving this taking in of this nurturing substance. And next time you open a window. Esther was in a forest in Boston the other day, and every time Jerry turned around, she was in the back of the coach with the windows open, sniffing the forest. He'd say, "Are you smelling the forest again?" Esther would say, "Yes, I'm smelling the forest again." There was something about the fragrance in the air and the particular plants that were there and the currents of the wind that were moving across the ground. It was a wind current that blew right through the back end of the coach that was so intoxicating, Esther didn't want to be anywhere else. She just kept putting herself in that wind current and sucking it in because she could feel the life-giving properties of it. It was so refreshing. And as you begin to focus upon the deliciousness of the oxygen, the deliciousness of the air, the deliciousness of the water, then begin to focus upon the deliciousness of the thought, the deliciousness of the focus, and discover that it's everywhere, this nurturing focus for you. And in fact, there is no place in your environment that it does not exist when you get focused upon it. And then you find yourself eager about whatever you're doing. Everything balances out. And in the absence of resistance, more of the things that really please you come to the forefront, and more of the things that have been a little less pleasing in nature go someplace else because they're not a vibrational match to what you have revved up, you see. Yes. This is how you don't get more time. You get more perceived, joyful time. And we think that's really what your question was about, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's exactly what I want.